the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Obviously, going back and Hurley coming back for a three-peat is obviously a huge deal, and he's going to be there for the foreseeable future after flirting with the Lakers. But where does this UConn 2024-2025 team rank compared to the last two teams? Do you think they're being a little undervalued coming into this year? It's hard for the two-time defending champs to be undervalued, but are you surprised the numbers don't love them as a top 10, top 5 team coming into this year?
Yeah, I wouldn't have them 12th. I'd have them like, I don't know, 7th sounds right, 6th or 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't. The question is more like, are they going to be as good as the last two? I would say on night one, face value, I don't think so, because I don't see like the Klingon Sonogo-esque figure at center. Like, if you're willing to be a little higher in Terrace Reed than I am, like maybe you can get there. Samson Johnson he was fabulous as a backup last year, but not everybody makes the transition from backup to starter, smoothly. That's a harder jump than a lot of people realize, I think. So, and with Reed, like you can look back and write off the last couple of years as just sort of playing up the string in a failed state of sorts with Michigan basketball. And you can kind of rationalize that a little bit. And it would help you explain like how he became like a very good defender his first year to an awful one last year. I think they were just kind of sick of Juwan at that point. But I just don't believe in him offensively. So I think the front court, they're really going to struggle compared to previous years. But the backcourt looks like the backcourt of old, more or less. Like Aidan Mahaney from St. Mary's, I really like. I'm not 100% convinced of his fit or athletic jump from St. Mary's to UConn, because look at the types of guys those two programs recruit, and they're not the same athletically at all. So I think that could be a serious adjustment for him. But the thing is, like, two players really helped me like come to terms with them and feel like good about them top 10. Alex Karaban and Liam McNeely. Karaban, obviously a stalwart, like perfect glue guy. I think he's ready to take the next step this year, because he already took a step up last year from like key bench guy to, fabulous starter. And then McNeely, we saw him, it was a huge, huge deal when Indiana lost out on him. A guy who they thought they were going to get, like, had every reason to think they were going to get. And then the late season drama with Mike Woodson, I believe, unseated that and brought him to UConn. So I like McNeely a lot. I think he's very flexible, very good for that roster. Ahmad Noel, obviously, got a lot going on too. So, and ultimately, it is Dan Hurley. Like, I don't think this roster is as good as the last two. I don't think it makes as much sense on paper as the last two. I definitely don't think they're going to shoot as well as the last two. But it's Dan Hurley, and I guess until further notice, I have no choice but to believe they're going to be very good.
How surprised, like, in terms of the three-peat, like, how surprised would you be if they were ultimately able to pull it off? Like, in terms, let's say out of 10, how surprised would you be with what the other tier 1 programs look like around the country right now?
Like a 9.5. It is, like, I know that sounds crazy, but it's absurdly hard to repeat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only the second time we've seen it since we've been alive, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, just Florida, right?
I forgot about Kentucky in the 90s.
What years did Kentucky do it?
97, 98, right?
Okay.
It was Pitino's last two is what I'm remembering.
Yeah.
But, it's really hard in almost any sport to repeat. To three-peat is like, that would be something we haven't seen in 50 plus years, if I'm recalling correctly. I mean, that's a level of dynasty you don't see in American sports pretty much ever. That's a level of dynasty you definitely don't see in college sports, even in college football, where it is like, or largely has been for most of the last 20 years, the same group of teams at the top. It's just, you have to have a lot of things go right. And I know, like, they trashed the competition this past year, and they were just clearly better. But you have to have a lot of things go right for that to happen a third straight time. Like, eventually, law of averages, we've seen this happen with better teams. You're going to have a bad shooting day. The other team's going to have a good one. And suddenly you're down 6 in the Sweet 16 with a minute to go. It just happens.
Yeah.
So I would be, I guess I wouldn't say like Florida. I wouldn't be 10 out of 10, but I'd be like, if we got to April and they had won it again, I think that, like,
is he in the best coach ever conversation if he goes to three-peat?
Well, I think that we'd have to have a conversation about witchcraft in the United States coming back. I mean, it is a New England thing after all, based on what little I know. So like maybe it's coming back. Maybe witches could be in again.
Hocus Pocus 3. There's been a Hocus Pocus 2. Is Hocus Pocus 3 coming out this fall?
Don't give Hurley Mania on Twitter any ideas. He's already full of them. Him and that other UConn Twitter guy. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Well, Will, I think it's a fun wrinkle, right? Like, I think that's going to be the thing that I think the NCAA is going to love, is that they're going to be in it, and the team that beats UConn in the tournament, if it happens, it's just going to be unbelievable. Like the eyeballs and just what that does for that team. I kind of hope it's the team that wins it all. It's the team that beats UConn. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think they're still going to be in a good position to make a deep run. Someone who I don't think is going to make a deep tournament run, but might have a case for optimism next season, because you like their coaching hire a little bit here, Will Warren. So the case for optimism in 2024, 2025 for the Vanderbilt Commodores, sir.
Well, Mark Byington, comes over from James Madison.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.